Yeah.
Who made the first move? Was it like a little DM from Alexis to
It was
Hunter?
me. It was me.
Okay.
Lexi is never sliding into the DMs.
No.
No. I met her at
She has
IGN where she was working.
What are they calling you now? Riz. There's no Riz.
No Riz.
None.
Me neither.
Negative
Actually,
Riz.
we have a funny story about that.
Welcome to Champion This with Brianna, Salvatore, Dueck, and Chelsea Poppens, where we share the incredible stories of athletes and entertainers who are using their platform to create positive change in the world and the communities they live in.
Today we're so excited because we have two total powerhouses on the pod. We have Hunter and Alexis Pence. So first I'm going to give Hunter his flowers. A little bit about Hunter Pence. If you don't know, you should know. He's a former professional MLB baseball player where he was a 4-time MLB All-Star and 2-time World Series winner with the San Francisco Giants in 2012 and 2014.
Hey.
Go Giants.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. We're excited to be on the show with you as well. And I was very honored to be a part of two great teams. Probably the greatest accomplishment of my life is doing something with such great people and for such a great city, as you know.
Let's go, Bay Area. There's a lot more to his story, which we'll also get into. He's also a major community advocate for climate action and involved in a lot of great initiatives. Next, we have Alexis Pence, who is again also a powerhouse in her own right. She's a content creator with a passion for wellness, travel, inspiring her audience to embrace a positive and adventurous life. She's also an entrepreneur and owner of her own specialty coffee line called Pineapple Labs, where it's a coffee bundle line with portions of profits up to 100% going to nonprofit organizations. And lastly, Hunter and Alexis co-host a podcast called Healthy Planet, where they focus on sustainability and environmental issues. Welcome to the pod, Alexis.
Thank you. Wow, what an intro.
I know. The flowers are intense.
Yes, those flowers are real.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure you guys are well-versed in the podcast realm of things too, of like editing and doing all the things.
Well, we actually don't have our own podcast.
Oh, you don't?
No, we have our own charity, the Healthy Planet Project.
Well, you should have a podcast.
My bad.
If you don't already.
Yeah. No worries. We were going to go with it. You're like, You know what? We'll start one just so you're accurate.
I know. You got to launch it now. Upcoming 2025.
Yeah, it's coming. Coming here. You heard it here. Breaking news. Hunter Pence Healthy Planet Project podcast.
That's awesome.
Well,
Well, we love to start our podcast up, like digging into your guys' background to get a little bit more about you. So Hunter, we'll kick it off with you and dive into a little bit more about how you came into basketball. You played at the University of Tech. Oh, sorry. Basketball's always my default.
Forefront. I get it.
Well, you played at the University of Texas at Arlington, where you were 2004 Southland Conference Player of the Year. You were drafted by Houston Astros, and you had your major league debut with the Astros, a center fielder in 2007. And so you've had an incredible start in the majors with your first home run being a grand slam. That's pretty impressive, I would say. And then you also played, you're playing against the St. Louis Cardinals. Can you tell us what brought you into baseball, and then how did you get to the majors?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a long journey, and I'm sure you know from your basketball journey, it's not like an overnight success by any means. And, but growing up, I grew up in Texas. I'm a very simple kid. I'm very thankful for how wild and the life that I've gotten to live because of baseball. But really, it was just me and my brother and, summers just messing around, playing wiffle ball. I played every sport back then, and we played soccer, we played football, we played hockey, we played baseball, we played roller hockey in Texas. We didn't have ice rinks back then. But I just fell in love with baseball with the travel. Like you go in these tournaments.
You don't have ice rinks back then.
We
How old are you?
I'm 41. Texas didn't have ice rinks like this. Dallas Stars came over and then they started building them when I was growing up. But when I was a kid, we would just play street hockey.
Day, it was just street hockey. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we'd get kicked off of tennis courts all the time. We built our own goal and we'd like carry it to the tennis court at the high school, and then we'd always get kicked off. But because you could the rollerblading on the tennis court is so much better than the street. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever question which sport you went for?
What's that?
Did you ever question your sporting choice?
I think I landed okay. I mean,
sorry.
It's really not that good of story. I mean, my brother really was a big influence on switching to baseball, but I really liked soccer. I was very into soccer, but my brother was like, "There's no future in soccer back then."
Boy, was he wrong.
But I mean, really, like soccer and baseball, it's to go from the U.S. to make it in soccer is like crazy.
Yeah, I think you did all right though.
Yeah,
so I think you
switched to
selected
baseball. The
good.
traveling was really fun, and it's a long story from there. But really, it was just a decision I made when I was a junior in high school, and that was like the final decision. I was like, you know what? I really love baseball. I'm gonna do everything I can to play as long as I can. I have no idea how far it's gonna take me, and then I just started kind of questioning, well, how do I play as long as I can? How do I make myself the best player? And I just devised, through pen and paper and trial and error and asking people at the gym, asking other baseball players, asking whatever. And I dedicated my whole life to it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And when you finally made it to the majors, what did that first year of playing there feel like? Was it kind of overwhelming? Was it surreal? Was it an adjustment?
There's a lot. Like there was I had some amazing influences in my life that really helped me out. But I think the moment that I got called up, I definitely cried just because I knew how much I sacrificed to get there and how many people sacrificed for me. So I just remember it was like that moment that you get in a movie where like time stops and you just get like a flashback of like everything. And it was like, going to weight rooms at 2:30 in the morning because our bus ride and summer ball got back at that time. And I needed to hit a weight room, and people, I had Don Warner in my high school. His son, Ryan Warner, was on my team, would come after school every single day and throw me BP and hit me grounders. And, just like the journey with my brother and understanding that opportunity. So, always, not really going to too many parties, staying very disciplined with sleep. And like, I just I sacrificed and sold out everything for it. And was, just thankful for my parents and all the little league games they took me to and all the travel. So it was kind of that
practice.
Yeah, the practice. And so that was really big. And then once I got there, I was like, you know what, I'm on house money. One day in the big leagues is a dream come true. And I was taught a really beautiful way to play and a very beautiful mindset from my junior college coach, which was, give nobody any credit. And that was challenging because I feel like I'm talking way too much here. I don't know what you like seeing.
No, you're good.
But it's like you play like the video games of MLB The Show, and they have all the mannerisms, and you watch them on TV, and then you're seeing, for me, it was like Andy Pettitte. When I got to face him, I was like, the motion is the exact same as the video game. This is crazy. But the mindset that I was taught was that it's your plate, and you never back down. They have to throw it over the plate. And so I think really the mental work that I did all the way getting there was a big backbone for me.
It's so crazy how much that the mental game plays into it. I think like when you get to that peak level as an athlete, for the most part, a lot of people are kind of on the same playing field in terms of your like skill level and your athleticism. But I think that being able to lock in mentally is like insane, and having that confidence can, I think, really set you apart in many ways. But I love that mindset and love what you shared. To pass it now to Alexis, love to dive into your story a little bit. So like we mentioned in your bio, you've built an absolutely incredible career as a content creator and a host. Would love to talk about what kind of initially drew you to this space, and what do you love most about this space?
Well, content creating specifically, and look, my story is not as exciting as Hunter's, and I get that, but I do have an amazing well, thank you. But I do have an amazing opportunity to highlight his story and the stories of many families in the baseball world, which is what I love. And it's to storytell. I love to storytell, or I did love to storytell our journey throughout baseball. So when I met Hunter and I started to go through what it was like to be in baseball. I knew nothing about baseball. Like my family's not a sports family. We're a little bit more nerdy, and we were into like video games. We were into like nerd culture. And so that's like where I came from that background. And so when I got to learn about baseball, it was like a whole new world. So when I learned that they move 3 times a year for baseball, I was like, what? Like, how do people not know this? Right? Like, I'm sure they do, but I just don't think it's like, it doesn't click, right? Like, it just doesn't like, they're at spring training, they're, in the city that they're playing for, but then you realize, oh yeah, they have like an off season, like where they're from, like they go home to be with their families. So there are all these things, and then they're home a week, gone a week, home a week, gone a week. And these wives who are absolutely amazing are having babies, and the husband comes for like 2 days to be with the baby and then goes back, and they're on their own, they're doing it. And so they create this family. And I'm like, this story like needs to be told more. Like wives in baseball, like they are the true backbone, I feel like, to the sport, because they handle so much. When the guys get traded, they're the ones left behind to wrap up the house and get moved to the next city so these guys can just think about baseball. So there were so many, I wanted to tell that story and what it was like for them to come to these cities where they know no one. They learn about a whole new city. They are thrown into a whole new team, and just show people what that was like for us personally and for other people on the team. And so I'd like to think that it was a way for me to show people, like, when you decide to send out a hate comment or you're hard on this pitcher, like they are so much more than what you see on the field. And that's where I'm passionate about. Like, you guys are like athletes, like all right here. You guys are so much more than what we see and what you guys are playing. And the fact that you can overcome a lot of it mentally is like, it's truly, for someone, a normie like me, is inspiring, right? Because I know I can do it. It gives me hope and it inspires me. Like, I can get past this bad day of my coffee not being.
You can tell Hunter's like, you're not a normie. You're
no, but like, no one's a normie, but it does inspire you to take that extra step and be a little bit more, to go head on with that obstacle, whatever it is that it is for you in your life. So
yeah. So when did you guys meet with, like, along Hunter's journey? Like, when did you guys actually meet? What was kind of the challenges of dating someone who's kind of bouncing around like that?
We met in 2014, and he won the World Series that year. So when I started dating him,
I was a winner.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is like pretty easy, right?
And you're like, what is the World Series?
I was at the World Series. Like,
it was the beginning of this season. I met her. And and obviously our first year dating, we won the World Series, and she's like, "Oh, this is just what happens."
I was like, "This is great," because then they had won. They had won one in 2012 and in 2010, and I was like, "Oh, this is just like what the Giants do." Right? I was like, 2016. I was like, "That's when the year we got married." I was like, "Perfect. He'll win a World Series and we'll get married." What a year!
All in 1 year.
Yeah.
Nothing different.
I knew.
I love it.
So, but it was. Yeah. So it was the adjustment to coming from a corporate world. I used to work at a company called IGN. So coming from a corporate world and having to balance that corporate life with what Hunter was doing, because he technically worked nights. Like, I would be just so tired at work. So in the mornings, like, I would have to get up to go to work, and I would be like up with him till like 1 or 2, just hanging out, just because that's the time they get home at like 12.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the time you get with them. So I just remember being so tired all the time at work, and and then having to just like, do I go to the game, and then trying to negotiate my off time to go to the World Series, and all that stuff was, they didn't really understand. Yeah.
Are we getting you your own TV series around this, like Housewives of Major League Baseball? They already have a podcast
they're launching. We already teed it up.
Okay.
We're
a TV series too.
No, I mean, they should. I definitely think the WAG should have their own TV. I feel like that would be such a good reality show, just because you see so much. Like, the wives go through so much. Not that it's like who the wives, but like, I think
you should produce that show, Alexis. We're ready for it.
You should. She's been passionate about this for forever.
Yeah.
Honestly, let's go.
Something that's super cool about Alexis that she doesn't always talk about is like, since she was a kid, she was like using a video camera and filming things. So like, this is her passion. She loves film. She sees movies in different ways than I ever see. Like, we're not watching the same movie. She's like, look how they filmed this. You can see this reflection over here. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, so she's just like got this like ultra creative and passion for, you know, production and for film. And she's been doing it since a kid. And it's super cool to watch her. What a great luxury. And what a great opportunity for me to get to use her skills. And she's really lifted me up. She's put a lot of selfless service into me. And, and she's
he
right.
gives me a lot of great content, so it makes it easy.
I love that.
But but now I've had to make an adjustment from like baseball content to everyday like lifestyle, which has been, I think I took retirement a lot harder than you did.
Where's my content now? What do I do?
Yeah, what do I do? I was like, I have to totally reinvent the wheel now.
Yes, but your content is great. We'll link it for our listeners, but it's so fun. It's so uplifting and cute, and to kind of follow along your guys' lives and to see the impact of that in the community is awesome.
So glad you think so. It's basically me just making fun of Hunter the whole time.
I love that.
That's great.
That's my social too to my husband.
It's amazing. I have a question on going back to the start of your relationship.
Yeah.
Who made the first move? Was it like a little DM from Alexis?
It was me.
Okay.
Lexi is never sliding into the DMs.
No.
I met her at IGN where she was working.
What do they call you now? Riz. There's no Riz.
No Riz.
Me neither.
Negative
actually.
Riz.
We have a funny story about that. We had several little hiccups along the way of miscommunications and lack of Riz. But for starters, so I met her it was in April, and obviously Dodgers-Giants rivalry. Yasiel Puig was the right fielder for them. I was the right fielder for the Giants. And MLB The Show was doing this launch, and it was like they were coming into town, and it was an off day. And it was me versus Yasiel Puig in MLB The Show, and she was producing it. So she was like putting on makeup, and like I'm a big nerd. I love video games, and she's like showing me around. I'm like, this is cool. Like your office is like the most fun place. It's like, oh yeah, you want to come back? Da, da, da.
Yeah,
and like
this is
she's
great.
like working, and I think she's being sweet to me. I'm like, oh, and I was like, I gotta get her number.
Typical guy,
and
right?
she thought I was like trying to do more work with them, which you know I was definitely down to do. But I was like, no, I want your number to talk to you. So, battled through a couple no's. I was like, give me a chance.
Yeah, he was very persistent.
And she eventually.
And you're like, what kind of work you want to do?
Yeah, I'm like, when do you want to come in? Are you sure? But he was so persistent on finally like asking me out, and I said no to him a million times, and then finally I was like, okay, fine, like we'll go.
Reluctantly, sure.
Calm down. No. And then he was like, we have to go tonight. And I was like, tonight? I was like, why can't we go like in a few days? Like
I was leaving for 10 days like the next day.
But this so for him was like, it's an hour. I was like, do you think I'm going to like meet someone? Like I'm single
the ultimatum.
now. Yeah.
I'm
so single now. You think I'm just going to magically meet someone?
I just met her. You go blank for 10 days and like, it's a whole new world. I was like, let's just meet and connect and like, like have a little FaceTime before I leave so that, 10 days that, we don't know each other anymore after that. If you first met someone, like just in a workspace, like we needed to have a one-on-one talk.
But I was so hesitant because his face was all over the city, like everywhere. It was like peak Hunter time, which I didn't really put two and two together at the time, but he was just everywhere. And so I was like, oh, this is like not going to end well for me. Like this is...
Yeah.
Like if this doesn't work out or like he's a typical athlete, like I have to move or
you have to see his face every single day
or
everywhere you look.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'm drawing stuff on his face to like make myself feel better. But luckily it worked out.
Yeah. I think it worked great.
I mean, I still draw stuff on his face. No, I'm just kidding.
That's amazing. Well, I love that. Hunter, I want to kind of jump back to your career a little bit. And would love to talk a little bit more about your on-field career. So as we mentioned in your bio, you've played for 4 different teams: Astros, Phillies, Rangers, and of course my favorite, the Giants. Your longest stint was with the Giants, where you really were a hugely marquee player for the team. You played for the team from 2012 to 2018 and then again in 2020. And during this time, you all won 2 World Series championships. But I would love to talk about what the Giants Ball Club means to you, And then also kind of in that same vein, what it took to win a championship in 2014.
Well, first and foremost, I don't want to be like, I led the team to the World Series, because that's not true. We had, Bruce Bochy, we had great ownership, Sabian at the helm. There was many leaders. We called it the Council of Elders. There was many leaders within our team between Buster and Casilla and Javi Lopez and Jeremy Affelt and Matt Cain, Tim Lincecum. Like, it was just like everyone was extraordinary people and humans. Madison Bumgarner, Tim Hudson was an incredible leader. I was the voice because, like, I guess one of my gifts is to speak. And so we would kind of gather that information. But for me, with regards to the Giants, it's the city, it's the support, it's the SF logo. It's the fabric of this city. It's an innovative city. It's a creative city. It's an inclusive city. It's an excellent city. There's so much excellence that happens here. And the Black and Orange has had players like you're wearing, Willie Mays, and so many Hall of Famers and World Series champions. And they also have an ownership that cares about the community. So it feels like a lot of our group wanted to do something greater than themselves, like do something that's bigger than you, and to inspire the city and to show the love that they showed us. I think we broke a record for sellouts on that run. And so the support and the energy of that time, and the commitment of all of the players, everyone was bought into whatever it takes to win, and whatever it takes to be a great teammate and to do more than just my part to we called it synergy, to be working together in unison, and to be, not one man up to bat, not one man pitching. It's all of our minds locked in with them. So I think it's a very deep connection for me. I really align with the city and its values, and I'm really kind of in awe and wonder of the spectacle of the people, of the buildings, of the architecture, the art, the food, and the nature that exists here in San Francisco. And I think it's a city that leads the world at large. So for me, it's a part of my soul, and I just feel right at home here, and I love it very much.
I love that. That was a beautiful answer. And I had shared with Hunter and Alexis before this story, before we started recording, this little story of me actually being at a Giants game. And I asked one of the fans, whose jersey should I buy? This was just this year. And the fan goes, oh my gosh, Hunter Pence's jersey. Hunter and Alexis Pence are my favorite. They're doing incredible work in San Francisco. They're such a great couple. They're doing sustainability stuff. It just speaks to kind of how important you are to the city and the impact that you're leaving in this place, as a player, but now, in your next play, quote unquote, post baseball, how you're continuing to drive and leave that positive legacy. So love what you shared and love what you're continuing to do.
Well, thank you. I mean, that means the world to us. And that's what it's about. We're very fortunate and privileged to have had that opportunity and for it to have worked out. And we're excited. We love getting out and doing, what we can. And it's very rewarding to the Healthy Planet Project in particular, but also any of the other activations, the people you meet. And, I personally really love planting trees, and, I love being around clean nature. So if you love it, what are you going to do about it? And we're trying to do something about it.
Love that.
That's great. I guess while we're talking about the Healthy Planet project, can you kind of elaborate on that and how you actually decided to dive in on that? And I mean, you guys champion, you get each other's dreams. So I think you guys work so well together. It'd be interesting to hear how you guys built that together.
Well, this actually all stemmed from Hunter. He loves nature. Yes. He loves nature. He loves, like he said, planting trees. And one day after retirement, he was like, I want to plant as many trees as I humanly can. Like, how do we do that, Lex? And I was like, well, let me figure it out. So I thought maybe this was just like a phase. And so I took him to go plant trees for Valentine's Day. That was like my gift to him, was we went out with the Friends of the Urban Forest and we planted a couple trees. Little did I know that sparked his passion for it even more. And he did a little bit while he was playing, but nothing to this extent, because, timing wise, it's just too hard when you're playing. And so then he was like, no, I want to do more. And I was like, oh my gosh. So the more and more we researched it, and we have a great team behind us, Tony and Mallory, and they kind of helped guide me. And we asked a lot of questions and turns out you can't just like plant trees, right?
You can't just
Yeah,
go
just go
places.
You can't just go around
in the
planting
dirt.
Yeah,
trees.
Johnny Appleseed.
Honestly, I didn't know. I thought you could just.
Us too.
How would they
and I was like,
know?
oh, this is gonna be easy. Can't we just go
It's
out?
actually kind of difficult.
Yeah. So you have to make sure you're planting the right tree in the right places and at the right time of year.
And the maintenance.
So we've had to learn how to balance like picking up trash and preservation with also his true passion, which is planting trees. So we've learned other things about certain like invasive species. So sometimes we're just like pulling out, weeds and, but also we're doing stuff with the marshes. So it's really just greenery at large and doing things that, but it's educated us a lot. Like we don't claim to be experts in this field at all. Like we're still learning and we're hoping you come with us on this journey to learn with us. And we're just trying to get the word out, spread awareness, pick up trash when we can. San Francisco needs it. Anywhere really needs it. Even if it just is, you see us walking down the street and you see like Hunter picks up trash day to day. He's picking up trash. And so I'm like, can you start wearing gloves? Like that would be pretty helpful. And also we're like planting, gardens in schools, and we're trying to educate our youth about, how important it is to be in greenery. And have you noticed like how your mood changes when you're surrounded by trees or greenery, and how you can learn better? Like we want to educate kids on that impact it has on the community and of course on themselves.
The science behind it is wild of how much it impacts kids and humans at large in neighborhoods. The return on trees to cities is actually, it's like 7 times the amount put in is what's brought back in like value to the place, reducing pollution, because we're breathing in what they're breathing out. Like we're connected. But for me, like Alexis has been the organizing. She's the really 5-head brains of the operation. I'm just
we
like
to give flowers to each other.
I'm a bit of the and the drive, but I do think that this is a cool where the inspiration came from, and it's like it's kind of 2 parts. Like we were in Ireland doing a visit, and we were in this like amazing forest with the most magnificent trees. And I was just, and it was like, it was not even like necessarily native trees. They were like trees from Japan. And it was just like, it was the most enchanting place I've ever been. I was like, whoa, how did all these get here? Well, apparently like many years ago, I guess, Guinness, the guy who does the beer, he was a very philanthropic fella, and like they all love him out there. And the story is great. And basically he just donated a bunch of money to plant the most amazing trees. And I was like, wow, what a great gift. Like we are receiving the benefits of what this guy, he had the vision to do that. I was like, I hope that I can do that where, one day some kid many years when I'm gone is like enjoying this amazing experience that I'm getting to enjoy from him. So that's kind of that pay it forward. And then there's, I was studying this book on the New Zealand All Blacks rugby team, which is the winningest franchise in all professional sports history. Wow. And they wrote like the book Legacy, and it talked a little bit about their culture, which is absolutely phenomenal. But one thing, they always bring in like players from the past to come in and carry the legacy. And like, one of the things that's super cool about their traditions is like your jersey can never touch the floor. Anywhere you go, you always leave cleaner than you came. The captain is the last one to leave. He always is. He's the one who cleans everything and makes sure that it's immaculate. But one of their cool things that the guy spoke before they went into the World Championships, the ex-player, is he said, listen, plant trees that you'll never see grow. And I think that this is just a beautiful metaphor in life, is like do good for its own sake. And like that just struck a chord with me as like the greatest, most successful professional team is this humble and is this committed to each other and committed to a greater cause. And I think that that's just excellence in and of itself. Now, I'm not a perfect person. I'm sure Lexi can tell you I have plenty of flaws, but like these things really move me, and I look to try to do them as best I can. And I love doing it. It is extremely rewarding when you go out and you plant these trees, like or do any community service that pulls on your heart. You're going to be rewarded with this beautiful emotional sensation that I can't explain until you go and do it.
Yeah, and it's given us a lot of purpose. Like, after, especially post-career, there's a lot of purpose to want to give back to the city that has given us so much, right? Like I got to meet my husband here, got to experience a World Series. This was like the first city I moved to, outside of my parents' house. And so this city has given me so much. And I know it's the same for Hunter. So it gives me a lot of purpose to give back to San Francisco and the community and the people here. So it's, I don't know, we've learned a lot. It's wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be, but we've learned a lot
fun.
and it's been a lot of fun. We're trying to make it all fun, but I think it's sparked our passion even more in terms of like what we want to do, like how important wildflowers are, for the bees and what the bees do for, like,
now you're going to get bees and you're going to start a farm.
We want bees so bad.
I want bees too. Yeah. I do too.
Get the honey.
Yeah.
I'm out in Iowa and I went through a period of time where I was really researching bees and how I could get some in my backyard, but I don't have like an acreage yet. So it's very tough to get them in city.
Either.
Yeah.
I feel like you can actually even get them indoors, can't you?
What?
Indoor bees is crazy.
Yeah.
That feels false. That is false news, guys.
That is false
I said
news.
I think, and I'm wrong.
Yeah, no. But people here in the city do them on their rooftops, which is really
That's
true.
what it was. Rooftop.
Yeah,
true.
Inside, I was like, that's reckless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Same.
You can get plants indoors though. There's like a couple things where you can.
But Hunter, last year, I think it was this past year, he did like a collaboration with someone, and they went around the city on their scooters, sprinkling wildflowers all throughout the city. And because you just like never know where they're going to bloom from, right? So you're going to make something that's like desolate or has just like dirt there that no one.
Yeah. And they can't legally catch you. You're just
throwing out some seeds, but you want to make sure they're local. If you're going to do that, make sure it's local to your area, because that's super important.
Yeah. I love that. So cool. Healthy Planet Project. We'll give some more information for listeners for how they can get involved at the end, but love the work that you're doing. I'm curious because a lot of times the environment in particular is not necessarily a topic that influential people champion all the time. So for you, Lex and Hunter, you have taken on something that's one of the most pressing topics of our time, which is climate change that's happening, and you're taking action in a really meaningful, important way. But have you ever received any criticism for that? Or how have you helped to kind of bring some of your teammates along in being advocates for the climate and getting involved in environmentalism?
I'll take this one on, and I have sort of a motto in life is like, my love is one direction and it's unconditional, regardless of any hate that comes my way. Like, obviously I'm going to protect myself and have boundaries, but I'm not going to respond to hate with hate. Because hate doesn't stomp out hate. It only grows. Only love stomps out hate. And I send them love. And if you don't agree with it, I'm doing the best I can. And I know where my heart is, and that's enough for me. So if there has even been that, I haven't even really noticed it. And I just like carry on, because as long as I'm true to myself and I know that my heart is out here to do as much good as I can. And also the understanding that I could be wrong, but I feel like being around trees, having less trash around it, I enjoy that. And so that's enough for me. Even if it is wrong, it's an opportunity to beautify our city that I love very much, and to show love, and even to show love for those who disagree with me, and understand that we can be ourselves as fully as we can, and allow others to be different and think different. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think one of the only thing, like Brent Suter, he had some lashback as far as like traveling by planes, and because he's an eco athlete, and so that was one of his examples of the ways people comment, and there's always going to be people that want to ruin people's joy around things like you're doing.
I think it's important to also like be honest and authentic. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, it's good to mention that. Like, stack small W's. Like, sometimes you have to fly by plane to get places and do things. Right? You're on a baseball team. You're put on a plane.
Exactly.
And like we can look to support technologies that maybe make them clean their planes, or make small decisions here and there. Vote with our feet. So like, we just took on composting like last year, and we're slowly starting to get a little bit better at that. And
let's
like,
go.
But like we were always recycling, but we weren't composting for a while. And then we were like, we realized the benefits of that. And so now we're adding that to the list. And it's just like, do a little bit here and there. It's like, you don't have to take it all on at once, and you don't have to feel guilty for every little mistake you make. And if someone's going to point you out and be like, look, you know what, I'm not perfect. I'm looking to do a little bit better every day.
Yeah, that's great.
Totally.
And so I'm assuming this ties into your guys' coffee bundle, which is you guys co-founded Pineapple Labs, which has a strong emphasis on supporting the community and your initiatives. And I'd love to hear what made you start that brand, and how do you ensure that it actually drives meaningful impact in your community?
Well, Pineapple Labs is definitely a sustainable, like the way we farm the beans and the farms that we go to are regenerative farming. So that's always really important to us. So Hunter and I got into specialty coffee when we were traveling in baseball.
And when you were tired from those 2 a.m. chats and needed some caffeine.
Exactly. We became really, So, Hunter has always loved coffee. And then I started to really love coffee from those 2 a.m. chats and having to go to work and function like a normal person. But also, though, when we would travel to new cities, I find that you learn about a city through its coffee shops, especially its specialty coffee shops. You can talk to the baristas about where to go. Usually they know like the best eating places, the cool shops to go to. I mean, tell me, have you ever met an uncool barista? Like,
no,
it's not possible.
They're also stylish.
They might be rude, but they're not. They're so cool.
And they have a story.
Yeah. And they're just so fashionable. They've got their own style. And so Hunter and I always felt, and just like their specialty drinks of what they offered at the coffee shop, like we just fell in love with that, like the coffee, how they make it, the different drinks that they provided, and like what it told you about the city. And so as we learned more and more, and we spent our off season in Houston, we met a friend who we were reviewing their coffee shop. We did it on our YouTube channel, where that's kind of like where we reviewed the coffee shops. And that was mainly just to tell people like where to go, because everyone started asking us like where to go in this city for coffee. And so we just started to make videos and put them there. And so we met now one of our really good friends, David Buer, who owns Blacksmith in Houston, Texas. So if you guys are ever there, check out Blacksmith. Also check out our coffee shop called Coral Sword. And
that's in Houston?
That's in Houston. It's
okay.
How'd you come up with the name?
So it's a weapon in Final Fantasy. So David's
the creative behind that.
Yes. And he is a nerd just like myself. And he knows nothing about, he calls it sports ball.
We play a lot of Magic the Gathering together and Dark and Darker.
But we
love all of this.
Connected through like all things nerdy. And so it's a space where you can start your own podcast. We have like a little podcast area. You can play board games, play Magic card games, Magic the Gathering.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Really good coffee. And at night, you can get like pizza, wine, beer. We have really cool kombucha drinks and stuff like that. So that's our coffee shop in Houston. I have to give it a plug. But anyway, so we met David and he taught us more and more about specialty coffee. And that's where, Hunter and I took a trip to Guatemala to learn more about what the farming looks like, how to be regenerative. How to make sure that you're planting seeds and diversifying the earth and the ground. And I was just like, wow, this is incredible. So in 2020, I decided to launch Pineapple Labs, and we did it. We would choose a charity every month to kind of help them out. And then now Pineapple Labs just does to Coral Sword and to wholesale accounts. Nice. Just because now I'd love to share, now that we're open and everything is normal again, I'd love to share other coffee shops like St. Frank's and other places. Like I'd love to lead people to them to kind of give
in the city.
Yes.
St. Frank's is amazing.
To kind of support these small businesses that are
this morning.
More local.
Yeah. I love that. That's so cool. Coffee really is like the great connector. And it's so interesting. Next time you guys go to Guatemala, my Uncle Edwin actually owns Onyx Coffee, which is like one of the biggest coffee.
We know Onyx Coffee.
Yeah.
Like, Gigabet.
Yeah, they are incredible.
They're doing a lot. I gotta connect y'all after.
That would be amazing. Hunter drinks a lot of Onyx.
Yeah. My husband was out there the city's called Huehuetenango in Guatemala. And my husband's 6'8".
Oh my God.
He was there for a month. He played basketball. They recruited him.
Pretty short.
No, they're short. So they recruited him to the basketball team. And he's like in there. He was in their roster photo for the year. He played one game with this local team. 6'8". Everyone else on the team is like 4'11", 5 foot.
That's amazing.
Let me give you a low-key, super sneaky spot to go out there is Lake Atitlan. If you ever get a chance to get an Airbnb out there. It's a 6-hour bus ride, but it is crazy beautiful.
Yeah, it is crazy beautiful. Guatemala is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Random. All right.
Random hint.
But that's our journey in coffee. And, it's grown so much where we started a coffee shop, did Pineapple Labs, and and tea. Now we're growing into tea and learning about that process because it's very similar in how it can be ethically sourced. And and how important it is. I just want to get this out there real quick before everyone rolls their eyes start to roll
She
over.
goes crazy every time she gets going on this.
But coffee, paying the specialty coffee prices, I know they're a little bit more expensive, but it's because it supports everything from the coffee shop to the barista to the
farmer,
roaster to the farmer, and then the farmer into the earth. So it's like those prices, there's an actual transparent chain, like a blockchain that you can see and how it impacts the whole cycle of coffee.
Yeah.
That's it. I just want to get that out there. I wouldn't feel right leaving this without people knowing that part too.
I love it.
But do with that what you will. You don't have to, but do with that what you will.
Super important to know. Yeah. To switch gears a little bit. So we always like to talk to our listeners kind of, we talked about the highs, we gave you the flowers of the journey, both of your journeys, but of course, along the way, there are challenges. So I'm going to ask this question of both of you, but Hunter, I'll kick it to you first. Can you talk to us about some of the challenges that you faced as an athlete and kind of what helped you get through some of those challenges? What was your mindset going through those challenges, if you're comfortable sharing that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty fortunate. I think, my biggest challenge was really 2018. I didn't get the opportunity to play very much. I had several injuries and whatnot and setbacks, and those stink, and you got to deal with them. And, it feels horrible to not play, and especially when you put all the work in to get out there. But really, like my baseball journey was a soul journey of learning to master myself. And and it just is who I am. Like I take all of that adversity as a great gift to learn who I am and to grow and to, to study. And I think that because I wanted so badly to be so good at baseball and to do good for the team, I read so many books and I really sharpened my mind and I really sharpened, just a deeper part of me. I started meditating at like 24, and that really like locked me in, where when you're centered through meditation, like you can see kind of the through line with everything and like the value that's being given and the gift that's inherent within everything that comes your way. So yes, we lost many games. I only won the World Series 2 times in 14 years. I was released, but all of these were great gifts, and there was so much growth for me in all of the losing and the winning. And so it's hard to be like, oh, I had this huge setback. Like all of it was really, really fun for me to observe, to and gain the value and the gifts that were given to me. So yeah, I guess that was I think the saddest I was 2018 though. And I did have to kind of go through a little bit of learning self-worth and self-validation. And like, once I locked that in, it was like, whoa, this was like what baseball was teaching me. And it was super cool. And I actually highly would, I guess, like if I was to give a message to anyone that is going through a tough time, like know that the fact that you exist means you are worthy. You are worthy, and you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be surrounded with love. So you first need to love yourself. So self-validation, self-worth, self-appreciation, self-love, these are some of the most powerful tools and gifts you can give yourself. So you deserve it. All that is cannot be all that is without you. And the fact that you exist means that all that is needs you to be itself. So I know we all have different religions, backgrounds, and experiences, but you are worthy, you are valid, you are loved, and send that to yourself. And that was one of the coolest things I learned through my tough times.
Oof, that was powerful. Yeah. Go off. That was awesome.
Yeah. Preach.
I think Bree and I can relate to that too, especially through injuries and like knee injuries and having to relabel who you are, not as just an athlete, but as like a human being, and the things that you're good at and the things you enjoy outside of, for us, putting a ball in a hoop versus you and baseball and everything else that you have. So I think that like that's powerful, and that's every athlete, every person out there needs to, even if it's not sports, to be able to identify themselves out of the things that they're like so hyper focused on and that they only see themselves as.
I think a fun thing, and Alexis actually really taught this to me. So I was really in a shell before I met her, and she's really good at like loving you for who you are, and not only me, but like people that are around them, and like allowing. She's like, that's really cool that you like nerd stuff. I like hid that as
I love that.
You should be a bridge. You should show people this. This is really cool. There's other people that like this, that want to hear this from you.
Yeah.
And as you start to unpack that, and like as I've gone down, it's actually scientific. Like they can measure the frequency of human emotion, and the highest frequency which, I love to do the guessing game, but like most people would be like joy, appreciation. Love is the second highest, and like 4 times higher than love is just authenticity. And so we have to learn to be our authentic self, because when you are there, you're aligned. And that's the biggest emotion. So you need to know who you really are and allow yourself to completely be that. And as soon as you become that, people feel that at a subatomic level or unconscious level. When someone's being authentic, you're attracted to them. It's a balance, and it's who you are, it's who you're meant to be. And with regards to just even the puzzle or the tapestry, and even a song, every song needs high notes, low notes. We need all of them. So whatever your note is, sing that song, be that note as fully as you can. Authenticity is when you're at your highest state.
Literally, I think you guys need a podcast.
Yeah, you do.
This is amazing.
I already said it all. You have it on your podcast. Boom. I gave you everything. I'm sorry. It's
Lex is like, well, I can't go after that.
I know. We're going to go after that, Hunter. God, that was beautiful.
But Lex, we do want to hear from you. Would love to, same question passed to you, challenges that you faced and how you've overcome them.
Yeah, well, look, I don't have challenges like, you guys. I feel like what you guys do on your level of...
but don't diminish your challenges.
I'm not diminishing them, but I do feel like there's a lot more people for me to commiserate on my challenges, because like in the corporate world, you don't get the raise, or you don't get like... There's a lot more people that you can kind of commiserate, right? And misery loves company. So like it's a lot easier for you to laugh at things and find the humor in it. I feel like what you guys do, it's so niche that like not a lot of people are in y'all's opportunities. So I feel like the mental mindset that you guys have is very different. So I know that for me, when I have hit a lot of obstacles, I always tend to go to the humor side. So for me is laughing at the situation and pulling out of the hyper focus to more of a macro focus. So for me, that's kind of how I go through my obstacles and my challenges when I'm feeling low. And, like when Hunter retired, I said it was like one of the hardest things, I think, for me, because I didn't want it to be, but a lot of my identity ended up being wrapped up into who he was, because our life revolved so much around him and his career. And so when he retired, he was like, maybe I prepped him enough for a life outside of baseball, but I didn't realize I wasn't prepping myself for that. And so in terms of like my social media and all that stuff, I was like, shoot, like I've got nothing. So it was really a huge transition for me as well, to realize who I am again, to come back to myself, my return to Venus, so to speak, and who I am, what I'm about, and realize, yes, I am worthy. I am so much more than what this sport gives and what my spouse gives, so that's something I've had to learn and overcome. And for me, like I said, I do it through humor and sometimes dark humor. And
I love dark humor. I love a good dark humor.
And
she has very sweet humor.
And, not concentrating on like the details as much and pulling it more of a macro view level, because not getting caught up on this one little thing, because there's so much more to life. There's so many other things.
Yeah. I think you guys balance each other well, as far as like,
exactly.
Yeah, that was great.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
No, I think that's just as vital. Like, you have to be able to laugh at things. That's really, that is how you get through things at the end of the day.
Yeah. But I will say this. He wasn't necessarily during his career ready to laugh about some things.
Oh,
everyone's like, retired Hunter is way more relaxed.
Yeah.
Way less pressure.
So
he laughs a bit more.
In terms of like what we went through, like highs and lows in terms of his career, and I would joke or, try to lighten the mood. He wasn't always ready to accept it. So
honestly, that's my husband too, and he's not a pro baseball player.
Yeah, like so, I had to tread lightly.
Every time I come home, the only question she would ever ask is, "What was the funniest thing that happened today?" Oh, for 4, 2 double plays, a strikeout, made it air.
Yeah, but I'd be like, what?
Not much funny today.
Yeah. Yeah. So
no.
We're past I tried to just lighten.
But
the
I love
mood
that
and keep
about
it
her.
light.
That was
She's got to keep you on your toes,
Yeah.
It's part of the beauty.
It's part of
joy.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, Well, I do want to give our listeners like a little bit of if you guys have any upcoming projects or initiatives that you have to have for them to look forward to. Is there anything coming in this upcoming year?
Yeah, we have a ton of Healthy Planet projects coming up. So that's if you want to go to healthyplanetproject.org and sign up for our newsletter. If you feel like picking up some trash, planting some trees, coming to weed out some invasive species, plant wildflowers,
and have fun doing
and
it.
have
Meet
fun
some
doing
cool
it.
people
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and sometimes we do events where we pick up trash and then go to a Giants game, or we'll get some good sandos and hang out by the bay. It's really, we've got a lot of different activities going on. So we have that, and then the baseball season the off season's coming to a close soon. So
really, lastly, I just want to follow Alexis Pence on all the socials.
Oh,
yes.
Her content
he is so sweet.
amazing. She's really funny. She is so good at it, and it's a lot of making fun of me, but also just her being cool. And so,
what a sweet guy.
It's a treat. You're welcome.
Yes, what a sweet guy. Yeah, so we have hopefully a lot of fun stuff in the baseball season coming up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can definitely plug kind of links to your nonprofit in our show notes. Of course, we want all the followers to follow both Lex and Hunter on their socials. And then before we kind of finish off our pod and go to our lightning round, we like to end our podcast with one question, which is, what advice would you both give to listeners looking to use their talents and passions to make the world a better place?
Do you want to go? Or do you want me to go?
Either
maybe I should go
do we
first.
both go, or is this a two?
Let's
I
go,
want
Lex.
you both to go. So Lex,
Yeah, I'll go first. I think anyone that wants to, my biggest thing is just go for it. If you fail, you fail. It's not a big deal. It's probably just realigning you to something better, but just go for it. The worst that can happen is you spend a couple $100 on something that you're really passionate about, but you won't know until you've done it. So just go for it and see what happens, and do it full force. Like, really invest in yourself. Go for it. Like, make it happen and do it right.
Yeah, we have a motto in our family: if it works out, great; if not, even better. And try to find where if you hit a roadblock where it's taking you, stretch your imagination. Have you used every avenue? Have you questioned everything? Have you knocked on all the doors? But if it's in your heart, keep moving and trust that feeling. I think that the brain, the logical minded people, and the negativity and the doubt, or I don't know if this can work out for me, go more into the heart and let your heart just move and act, and one step at a time. Stack small W's, look for small W's, look for opportunities, but use your imagination, believe in yourself. I think self-belief, once again, self-validation, self-love. And I think passion is the energy of the higher self talking to you. And when you follow that thread as far as you can follow it, you're headed in the right direction. So that would be my greatest gift. If it works out, great. If not, even better. And trust that the universe is on your side. I think Einstein said the greatest question you can ask yourself, and I have a reason why I think this is do you believe this is a friendly universe? Because I think that it's a yes universe, that whatever you believe, it proves you right. So believe it's a friendly universe, and believe that the universe is guiding you exactly where you need to be.
Love.
It's free.
That was good. Those are both great. Those are awesome. All right. So we're moving on to our lightning round. You got 30 seconds each to answer.
Oh, man.
A lightning round of 30 seconds.
30 seconds to answer each question. Some of the questions might be a little too deep for that, so we'll see if we ask all these.
We will allow it if there's some leniency on some of the questions. If you have a longer,
I can keep it short and sweet.
I'm trying to. All right. First question, Hunter. Where did the nickname the Reverend come from?
From the speeches I gave in the playoffs.
I need more. That's fitting. Honestly, the name the Reverend is so on brand for you, especially after this podcast.
I'm not really religious, so to speak, but
but you got a good message.
Yeah, you're bringing the message.
Yeah,
messenger.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, Lex, next question. What country has the best coffee beans?
Oh, man. You think Ethiopia? I think a tie between Ethiopia and Guatemala.
Okay, we'll take the tie. Love that.
All right, Hunter, what's your most memorable sports moment?
Michael Morse tying in 2014, Game 5 against the Cardinals off of Nishek. That homer was crazy. And Travis Ishikawa's homer was pretty crazy as well in the same game. That was the wildest moment.
Wow.
You knew it too. Like, it was right there.
Well, the other one, actually, I failed. 2012.
Thinks about it all the time.
2012 was Ryan Vogel's song, pitching outstanding, and they were chanting Vogie as the sun was setting at then AT&T Park, and they like literally the fans shook the fence down. It like fell down. They had to fix it for the next game, and that was Game 6, taking us to Game 7 with Matt Cain leading the charge. So those were the two moments that were like chills.
That's crazy.
I got chills when you said that. It's so cool. I was at UC Davis at the time. And so like I'm a SoCal girl, but I moved to Northern California for undergrad and I became a converted Giants fan through all the NorCal people. And I remember those playoff runs and it was like, so cool. I love it. Okay, Lex, next question. What advice would you have for your 15-year-old self?
Oh, man. Oh man. I have a lot of advice for my 15-year-old self. One, trust the process and don't get caught up in the details. Like look at it, like I said earlier, look at it from a macro level, like bigger picture, think bigger picture, because that's what's most important.
That's good advice. All right, Hunter, back to you. What's your favorite park to play in? Who's the toughest pitcher that you've faced in your career?
So Oracle Park, all the different names that it's had, is the most beautiful park, hands down. Nothing even close. Toughest pitchers I ever faced. It was in a small window, but I think Lincecum, when he first came up, was really ridiculous. He threw me a left-handed curveball from his right hand. It was like this split finger that broke in a way I didn't know was possible. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, last question. It's a little deep, but we love it. As you think about the next 10 years of your life and what you're building together as a couple, what is your dream?
Man, that's a great question. Because we are having what?
Hunter's like, I know.
Is this just Alexis?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, both you guys.
Go ahead. If you know, go.
If you need time. Do you need time or you?
Well, I was just debating how deep do we go?
Oh, you can go deep.
But 30 seconds is tough, but go ahead.
Well, as the next 10 years, we're talking about whether or not to have kids, if that's something in our journey. Also, we're coming face to face with elderly parents. And so we're trying to shape our life around in this support. And if there is support in both ways, I know there is, but what does that look like? Is that here in San Francisco? Or is it, I think it'll always be here in SF, but what does that look like? So we're kind of in a really transition phase. That's why I'm like, this question's like in the next 10 years. I'm not entirely sure. Do you have a more succinct?
Mine is very simple and not even that deep. Mine is like, look, I want to continue to plant as many trees as I can, learn about that. I want to drink espresso, surf waves, and play video games.
Love.
I think that sums up our relationship in a whole, exactly.
I think it sums up relationships in general. I think.
Yeah.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
More elevated.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How often do you think of the Roman Empire? Exactly.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
I love how his eyes lit up too. He's like, trees. As soon as 10 years, I want to plant a million trees.
Coffee, video games. And I'm like, well, my elderly parents, his parents, kind of.
You do that as you're doing the trees and the coffee and the gaming.
Yeah.
In tandem.
Exactly. Well, you guys, it has been incredible having you on the podcast. And Hunter, I got this visual that you shared of you going around the city spreading wildflowers. And I just want to say, that visual for me is like your relationship. And I see you two being that blessing to this city, going around, spreading the joy, spreading the flowers to the citizens of San Francisco and honestly the world. So again, thank you so much for blessing us and really encouraging and inspiring us. And I know this is going to really be so awesome for our listeners. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the work y'all are putting in and for having us on. It is an absolute privilege and the great questions. Y'all are amazing. We appreciate it so much.
Yes.
Yeah.